In the first week of March 2026, captains across the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea received an immediate directive: stop the engines, turn their massive hulls around mid-ocean, proceed to shelter. Major logistics carriers, including Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd, and CMA-CGM, uniformly reversed their routing decisions overnight. A sudden military escalation in the Middle East had instantly suspended one of the most trafficked maritime corridors on Earth. The point of failure is the specific choke point, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, historically translated as the Gate of Tears. It operates as the mandatory southern doorway connecting the Gulf of Aden to the Red Sea. If a vessel intends to reach European markets quickly via the Suez Canal, it must first navigate this narrow channel. Control over this single 18-mile-wide strip of water between Yemen, Djibouti, and Eritrea directly dictates the operating cost and the physical security of the entire global economy. Before the conflict escalated, this corridor functioned as a hyper-optimized logistical artery. It was a fragile system designed entirely around speed and uninterrupted passage between Asia and Europe. At peak operation, the Bab el-Mandeb processes 15% of global trade, including a third of east-west container shipments. It also acts as a primary valve for energy security, with millions of barrels of oil traversing these waters daily to maintain global supply. The modern, just-in-time economy operates on incredibly thin margins. Importers, exporters, and manufacturers built their entire inventory models on the foundational assumption that this shortcut would remain open and predictable. The global supply chain was built on a dangerous premise. It relied on a geographical bottleneck surrounded by historically unstable nations remaining permanently safe. Between November 2023 and the severe escalation of March 2026, the assumption of safety collapsed. A localized geopolitical conflict bled directly into international shipping lanes. Houthi forces operating out of Yemen initiated a targeted asymmetric warfare campaign aimed at disrupting commercial vessels transiting near their coastline. They deployed a sophisticated arsenal that bypassed traditional naval defenses. The attacks utilized one-way drones, remote-controlled explosive surface boats, and precision cruise missiles. This industry security advisory documents the toll. Since the conflict began, there have been at least 113 separate attacks on commercial vessels, resulting in the deaths of 4 mariners. Slow-moving, heavily laden cargo ships found themselves acting as sitting ducks in a live fire zone. In response, the United States and allied nations deployed massive naval strike groups to the region to intercept inbound munitions and launch retaliatory strikes. Yet traditional high-end naval superiority has struggled to permanently secure the lane. A multi-billion-dollar defense coalition is finding it incredibly difficult to completely suppress cheap, relentless, asymmetric weapons. The intense military focus on incoming missiles created a massive security vacuum just outside the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. By April 2026, Somali pirate action groups capitalized on distracted navies, launching a coordinated resurgence of hijackings in the Gulf of Aden and the Somali Basin. These syndicates utilize soft approaches. They deploy single or paired fast skiffs to test a commercial vessel's defensive responses before committing to a full armed boarding. Looking at this security matrix, the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden are designated as critical high-risk areas, requiring intense new security protocols. Crews must maintain 24/7 watches, implement hardened physical defenses, and navigate while managing jammed GPS signals. Moving cargo through the Bab el-Mandeb is no longer a standard commercial logistics operation. It is a highly militarized tactical maneuver. If a shipping company refuses to run this military and criminal gauntlet, they are left with a single, highly inefficient alternative. This map traces the required detour. Vessels must abandon the Suez Canal entirely and route their cargo all the way around Africa's Cape of Good Hope. The physical math of this detour is brutal. It adds nearly 11,000 nautical miles to a voyage and extends transit times by 10 to 14 days. The financial shockwave hits immediately. Between late 2023 and early 2024, spot container rates surged by an average of 256%, compounded by skyrocketing war risk insurance premiums for vessels operating anywhere near the conflict zone. There is also a hidden environmental toll. Ships burning heavy fuel for an extra 2 weeks at sea generated a 46% spike in maritime carbon emissions. While theoretical alternatives like the Arctic transpolar route exist on paper, they entirely lack the commercial infrastructure and year-round accessibility to serve as a viable replacement today. Avoiding the physical risk of the Red Sea creates a cascading financial and environmental tax. That cost is ultimately placed on nearly every consumer good that is shipped worldwide. The global shipping industry is trapped in an impossible calculus. Carriers must constantly weigh the threat of physical destruction against the reality of financial hemorrhage. Modern supply chains run entirely on precise timing. They simply cannot survive the working capital losses and port congestion caused by constant, unpredictable 14-day delays. The Bab el-Mandeb is an unchangeable geographical reality. It cannot be engineered away, and it cannot be permanently bypassed without breaking the efficiency of global trade. Until regional geopolitics stabilize, the world has no choice but to absorb the massive friction of doing business in a militarized sea.